Well, I hope you're all having a good day. I know I am, as usual. This is going to be about people being a false Christian, and sometimes they don't even realize that they do this, and it really does happen. You know, a false Christian is somebody like Jim Jones who mesmerized people to get them to join his church, and he preaches how good a Christian he is and all this stuff. People can be trapped into the wrong idea of Christianity, and people do it all the time. I don't know how, and this has nothing to do me talking whether you're a Christian or non-Christian. This just has to do with the idea of a false Christian. In other words, if you go to church, that does not make you a Christian. I mean, it does on paper and it may be in your mind. But when you go to church and you preach what God wants you to do and you fulfill it during that church time, then you go out knowing that you're going to violate what you just said. Uh, you may be a false Christian. False Christian is an everyday deal. I'm not talking about anybody's religious views or non religious views. And this has nothing to do with whether you believe in God or don't believe in God. This has to do with those going out there that have a view of the Christianity and only uses it for their purpose and not the purpose it's meant for. So many people go out there and lie and say they are a Christian. They're really not. Are a bad Christian, I guess you could say that. I'm a Christian, but I don't go out and preach all this other stuff because I'm at fault in doing a lot of it. So I'm not going to do it. But a false Christian is one that goes out there, like I said, like Jim Jones. And a lot of your false Christians are really, really good people with a silver tongue. And it takes that type to get it going. It really does. That silver tongue will get you every time. And we, at some point, we are mesmerized by a person that can do that. And we really are. We'll fall in that trap on a constant basis. And for whatever reason, we do that. And I'm not just talking about Christianity, anything. We hear some sweet talking and we're willing to give up whatever to do it and follow somebody that we shouldn't be following. True Christianity is not a one day deal. Go to church and forget about everything else because you have the idea that you can go there and pray for forgiveness, walk out, and redo what you did. That's not Christianity. That's being a false Christian trying to use Christianity to save your own butt. And it really is. Let's take a look at a few things when it comes to Christianity. There's one guy out here, and some of you know him. He, because he went to college or whatever he went to for ministry, and he's out there preaching every day, or not every day, but how good a person he is and how good a Christian he is. And when you really listen to him, it's not the case. He goes out and he says stuff and preaches really, really good, but them are words coming out of his mouth. His actions are 100% different. Jim Jones is the same way. No, I ain't saying he's a prototype of Jim Jones because he's not. But the idea is the same with Jim Jones. He could go in there and get people convinced of what he's doing. But you think that he followed through with what he was saying? No. Them were words, not actions. And there is a bunch of people out there that are willing to spew out the words and not follow up with their actions, because it's a shame what they are doing and how they do things. Christianity, if you're not going to live Christianity, don't go out and preach Christianity when you know you're going to violate it yourself. Don't use Christianity for your own self being as far as doing things wrong. You know, we can do things wrong without spewing out Christianity. I'm not a hater of Christianity. Like I say, I believe in God. If you don't believe in God, it's okay too. But I'm like the ones that don't believe in God in the way. If you're going out and preach it, maybe you better uh, do it by actions and not just words. Words is very bad at times when it comes to Christianity or any religion. Because if you're not willing to go out and practice that, you can say you're a Christian all you want or whatever religion you are. But if you're going to preach it and go out and preach it, you better be able to take actions on what you're saying, not just words. Words don't mean a lot in Christianity. Anybody could say anything they want, but it's the actions that matter. So if you're not going to go out there and live it, as far as living it your whole life, or it's not a part-time thing. You have to go out. You have to make sure everything's good. You have to love your neighbors. You have to do all this, not by words, but by actions. This one guy is really, really good with words, but his actions are never, never the same as his words. His words, he thinks everybody should cower down to him. And by the way, there's other people, just not one. They love to go out and show how good a Christian or whatever religion they are and impress people by that. But they are not willing to put that into actions. They're willing to go to church and stop their beliefs right there. They may do Bible studies or whatever when they're not in church, but that's it. They're still not living the Christian life by actions. They're living them by words for a small period of time. That's all they're doing. That they're not doing anything else. And like I said, I don't care if you believe in God, you don't believe in God. Them are your personal beliefs, and that's what they should be. But most people don't go out and throw a religion in your face by words, but fail to carry them out by actions. Every one of us know somebody in our lives that have done this. Do it by action, not just by words. A bunch of words don't get you nowhere. Action gets you a whole lot farther, and actions will show what you really believe. I can go out and say, and another thing they do, and this one really burns me bad, is they'll go out and say, well, God did this. He went here, he did this. You're not God. God had his reasons for doing that. He didn't tell you you were God and you could do that. Read the whole thing. But people that love spewing out words and not actions when it comes to Christianity, things like this will happen. I'm sure most of you know of somebody that does this. I had a boss, one of the greatest people you wanted when he was in that church house. He gave his all for the people in his church. And everybody, when they went to work for him, couldn't believe how opposite he was when he was not in church. He did do few little actions, But this guy was one religious guy when he was in church. Once he left church, forget that idea because it was going to go by the wayside. And he didn't care who he walked over. If you weren't one of his kids, you were a piece of garbage. Except on Sunday. You know, the whole world was great and he was willing to do everything for everyone. And yeah, I had a boss like that. His idea was words, not actions. He cared less once he got out of that church house what he did. And a guy on here is the same exact way. He spews out religious talk left and right and how religious he is, but then his actions are 100% against what he was just saying. It's interesting that people do this. It's a shame people do this. If you're going to be a religious person, you have to take action, not just re- words. I know people that don't believe in God that take more actions than some of these guys that say they are Christians or other religions. It's not Christians. And believe me, I'm not bashing Christians at all. I'd have to be bashing myself. And you just have to look at the overall picture. And what do you think? How many of you out there has actually seen that and been around people like that? But actions do speak louder than words when it comes to Christianity or any religious belief. Words can get you in trouble or get people to follow you and worship you, and that's in itself is wrong. They're not there to worship you. You are not God. Got to get that out of your head. But when they use them words, people follow. People would rather hear the words a lot of times than the actions because if you control people by words, you don't have to worry about your actions, even if they're bad. And people do that, you know. And the thing I get annoyed at, my mom was 100% Christian. Believe me, she was a true Christian. She seldom ever put a pair of pants on. She always said a lady always wears a dress. Now, working out on the ranch, sometimes it's safer with the pants on than the dress. But that was seldom she'd ever put a pair of pants on. In her mind, she lived through Christianity almost to the book. None of us 100% do, but there was things she would never do, and by actions, not just words out of her mouth. She knew Christianity was an individual choice. So her kids, although she always tried to push us to Christianity and her beliefs, but she knew just by the fact of being a Christian means it's the individual's choice, not hers or anybody else's. And she did. It was up to each one of her kids as to do what they wanted to do. She would, of course, when younger, you had to go to church when she went to church and all that. But it was up to you what you did. If you didn't want to be a religious person, that was fine because that was your choice. You have to live with your choice. That is an action she took with all 10 of her kids. She proved what it really was like to be a Christian. Did she see some of us go down the path she didn't want? Yeah. Did it hurt her? Yeah. But she knew the path to each one of us had to be individuals. She taught us right from wrong, so did Dad, but that final decision had to be yours, not theirs. And you did that, and like I said, she did that with 10 kids. 5'1", red hair, really red hair. And she showed even her kids what it really meant. Even though we might not follow 100% down her path. And she died at 93 of B cell cancer. But that was impressed in us over the years because of her actions. Words helped a little bit, but it was her actions we saw. It was her actions we fed off of. I, I like anybody else, can go out and say all kinds of words, but they're just words without that action. And we all, at some point, do things we shouldn't do. But I'll tell you right now, I've never been in prison. I've never been in jail. I've never been arrested for anything. And I'm 65. And a lot of that goes from her actions that she showed us. She never smoked cigarettes. She would not drink any alcoholic beverages. And although on occasion, but most generally, anything with a cola in it, she would not drink. She didn't care if her kids did that because that was our choice. But she was not going down that road because she believed in what she believed in and was going to do it the way she thought it needed done. Christians sometimes, not just Christians, I keep saying that because that's the way I was raised, but any religion out there that is not willing to go out and do it by actions, not just words. Of course, when you get up there and preach and that, it is just words if they want. But a lot of people are lazy and will not follow that. They will preach it, they will not follow that because the devil and what is wrong in life is the easier trail for them. Some of these guys just hate people. They despise people, and a lot of times it's because they despise themselves too. We need to get into a path of love, not hate, and that's what most religions preach: love over hate. Well, you have to do it by actions, not by words. If you're not willing to go out there by actions to show love over hate, don't go out there and preach it. Stay away from it. I just want to get on here for a while and blow off some steam the way I see people do things. I love people. Like I said, I'm not a best example you could have of a Christian, but I do have that faith. But you have to do it by more than just words. Too bad with me, a lot of it is just words and not taking the actions I need. I admit that, but I ain't going out there and preach, turn around and do something behind your back that's totally opposite of what I just told you. Remember, keep up the faith. I love every one of you. And I'll tell you what, whether you're a religious person or not, whether you believe in God or not, still, please believe in the fact if you don't do things by actions and just by words, it will never work. Thank you.